Raila Odinga was born at the Anglican Church Missionary Society Hospital in Masino, Kisumu District, Nyanza Province on January 7, 1945 to Mary Juma Odinga and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. His father served as the first vice president of Kenya under President Jomo Kenyatta. He is a member of the Luo ethnic group. He went to Kisumu Union Primary, Miranda Primary in Bondo and Miranda High School, where he studied until 1962, when he was transferred by his father to Germany. He spent the next 2 years at the Herder Institution, which trained foreign students in the German language and was part of the philological faculty at the University of Leipzig in East Germany. He received a scholarship that in 1965 sent him to the Technische Hochschule, Technical College, of Magdeburg, now a part of Otto von Guericke University Magdeburg, in the GDR. In 1970, he graduated with a certificate in welding. While studying in East Germany during the Cold War as a Kenyan, he was able to visit West Berlin through the checkpoint Charlie. When visiting West Berlin, he used to smuggle goods not available in East Berlin and bring them to his friends in East Germany. Odinga returned to Kenya in 1970, and in 1971, he founded the Standard Processing Equipment Construction and Erection Ltd., later renamed East African Spectre, the only company manufacturing liquid petroleum gas cylinders in Kenya. In 1974, Odinga was appointed Group Standards Manager of the Kenya Bureau of Standards. After holding this position for 4 years, he was promoted to be the Deputy Director in 1978, a post he held until his 1982 detention at 3 a.m. on Sunday, August 1, 1982. A group of soldiers from the Kenya Air Force led by Senior Private Hezekiah Ochuka attempted to overthrow the government of then-President Daniel Arap Moi. After the failed attempt to overthrow him, President Moi reorganized Kenya's security architecture, staffing it with his loyalists, and then he ensured a law was passed in parliament that gave him emergency powers while placing the provincial administration under the office of the president. Odinga was arrested and charged with treason after being accused of being among the masterminds of the 1982 coup. He was released 6 years later in February 1988, but detained again in August of the same year to be released in June 1989. In an era of unrelenting human rights abuse by the Kenyan government, Odinga was placed under house arrest for 7 months after evidence seemed to implicate him along with his late father Oginga Odinga for collaborating with the plotters of a failed coup attempt against President Daniel Arap Moi in 1982. Hundreds of Kenyan civilians and thousands of rebel soldiers died in the coup. Several foreigners also died. Odinga was later charged with treason and detained without trial for 6 years. A biography released 14 years later in July 2006, apparently with Odinga's approval, indicated that Odinga was far more involved in the attempted coup than he had previously admitted. After its publication, some members of parliament in Kenya called for Odinga to be arrested and charged, but the statute of limitations had already passed and the information contained in the biography did not amount to an open confession on his part. Among some of his most painful experiences was when his mother died in 1984, but the prison wardens took 2 months to inform him of her death. He was released on February 6, 1988, only to be rearrested in September 1988 for his pro-democracy and human rights agitation at a time when the country continued to descend deep into the throes of poor governance and the despotism of single-party rule. Multi-party democracy Kenya was then, by law, a one-party state. His encounters with the authoritarian government generated an aura of intrigue about him, and it was probably due to this that his political followers christened him Agwambo, Luo for the mystery or unpredictable, or Jackum, meaning chairman. Odinga was released on June 12, 1989, only to be incarcerated again on July 5, 1990, together with Kenneth Matiba and former Nairobi Mayor Charles Rubia, both multi-party system and human rights crusaders. Odinga was finally released on June 21, 1991, and in October, he fled the country to Norway amid indications that the increasingly corrupt Kenyan government was attempting to assassinate him without success. Baptized as an Anglican Christian in the Church Missionary Society, CMS, in his childhood, Odinga later became a born-again Christian and is a communicant member of All Saints Cathedral in Nairobi. Odinga is married to Ida Odinga, Ida Enyengo Oyu. They live in Karen, Nairobi, and have a second home at Central Farm in Siaya County. The couple had 4 children: Fidel, 1973 to 2015, Rosemary, born 1977, Raila Jr., born 1979, and Winnie, born 1990. Fidel was named after Fidel Castro, and Winnie after Winnie Mandela. Winnie is currently studying communication and international area studies as a double major student at Drexel University in Philadelphia. She is also a Kenyan representative at East Africa Legislative Assembly, ELA. In an interview with BBC News in January 2008, Odinga asserted that he was the first cousin of U.S. President Barack Obama through Obama's father. However, Barack Obama's paternal uncle denied any direct relation to Odinga, stating, "Odinga's mother came from this area, so it is normal for us to talk about cousins. But he is not a blood relative." Odinga briefly played soccer for Luo Union, now Gor Mahia, as a midfielder. 10. Odinga was appointed by the African Union to mediate the 2010 to 2011 Ivorian crisis, which involved Alassane Ouattara and Laurent Gbagbo. Odinga wrote Flame of Freedom, a 1,040-page autobiography which talks about his life from childhood. It was launched on October 6, 2013 in Kenya and subsequently in United States on October 15, 2013. He was accompanied by a number of Kenyan county governors.